Welcome to episode 21 from Heavy Metal Music Manor headquarters, and we have a very special guest in the house. The world according to Patrick is in the house, and we're excited to hear what he has to say because today's theme is top 10 metal bands. Now, you guys, I know this was a challenging task. For me, it was definitely a difficult thing. I can't emphasize enough how hard it was to come up with 10 bands that I love in the heavy metal genre that I felt represented my childhood all the way till now. But that's exactly what I did. I made a list that really every band on this list for me, I loved when I was younger, and I still love for the most part. But there was a lot of bands that were left off of this list. And what about you, Patrick? How did it go for you with compiling this list?
I got lucky. I was telling you that I had already made a list of my top 40 bands of all time. So what I did is just got my top 10 metal bands and just kind of cheated and went from there. So I was already good to go.
Yeah, that's good.
But man, thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, we're excited. We got our metal brothers coming around. And I'll tell you, there's a lot more of us than you think. So and what about you, Lyric?
For my top 10, I had to make like 2 adjustments, but it wasn't too hard because I already knew my top 7 guaranteed, so it wasn't too hard to do, but it was very enjoyable to make a list because I never tried to make one before, so it was fun to make one.
Yeah, we were thinking about the topic for this episode. I was kind of going back and forth, and Patrick and I were having a little conversation about what we should talk about, and I really just felt, the lists are, I love the idea of the challenge of a list, and I always get a lot of I kick out of people making these lists when I see them on YouTube and everything. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and start with 10, work our way down to 1. And when we say our name of our band, we're going to talk a little bit about why and touch on why this band is on the list. And all y'all out there you're going to have a whole different type of list maybe for yourselves, and maybe some of the bands we mentioned you'll connect with. But yeah, let's start off with our guest, Patrick. Now this is the World According to Patrick, folks. And also, by the way, don't forget to check out his YouTube channel, World According to Patrick. It's worth a watch. Every episode is,
Yeah, you guys are on there too.
Yeah, well, we're excited.
Especially you, dude. You killed it.
He makes it fun for us. Yeah. But anyway, so let's start off. Let's get our lists out, and we'll start with band 10. So let's see what Patrick has to say. Well, no, it's okay. I got to see.
And we're gonna do our honorable mentions too.
Most definitely. Yeah. And tell
because I had a lot of problems with
So honorable mentions being the bands. Explain that. So we have a list here of 10, but there's a lot of bands that are not on the list, right? So,
yeah.
And there we go.
There's just one band that I'm not gonna say them, but there's just one band that I felt so horrible leaving out.
Me too.
I felt bad about a couple as well.
Yeah.
I feel bad just generally, so I feel.
I feel bad just generally.
I feel bad right now. Yeah. I feel terrible because there's bands on this list that I should I have had that band maybe, but we have reasons, and I definitely want to explain a few of those reasons.
Yeah, and some I didn't know. Are they metal? Are they hard rock? So we'll talk about that later too.
Very good.
Right.
But my number 10 is Pantera.
Pantera boy.
Love Pantera. They came out at an interesting time. They've been around for years in Texas on an independent label, but they came out with Cowboys from Hell, and really that's when grunge hit. So when that album came out, I remember seeing him here in Atlanta at the I think Center Stage for Rat Child America, and I remember seeing him. I didn't know what to think at first, and I was like, "Wow!" I saw the frontman Phil Anselmo.
That was amazing.
And this is, you got to remember, around 90, 91, the music spectrum changed and grunge came around. Nirvana. I hate the world and everything. Wore a flannel shirt and all that. And for whatever reason, Pantera stood above everybody, and we're still selling out. I mean, really big size arenas and everything. So, I'd have to say Pantera. I mean, I even like the early stuff, but I mean, with Terry Glaze. But I mean, Cowboys from Hell. My favorite album is probably not most people's favorite album, but definitely The Great Southern Trendkill. Love that. Vulgar display of power.
Oh, yes.
Far Beyond Driven.
Right?
I'm not familiar. And the crazy thing about I'm not really familiar with Pantera. Was Dimebag who were the original members of Pantera? Actually?
Terry Glaze, the brothers, Vinnie Paul, and he used to be called, instead of Diamond, is David, but he used to be, instead of Dimebag, it was Diamond Daryl.
Yeah,
they were more of a glam band.
Yeah.
So Terry Glaze was the singer, Rex Brown, and they had 3 albums before Phil joined the band. That's actually with power metal, right? Yeah. That's when they changed their sound. And they had Projects in the Jungle, Metal Magic, Projects in the Jungle, I Am the Night.
Speaking about Metal Magic, that cover is appalling.
I know, man. It looks like somebody, in elementary school.
I know. It's like,
hey, dude, I'm putting this band together.
will you guys draw something? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It really does. I did not bring that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Yeah.
is. That's funny you say
Yes, and also Cowboys from Hell. That's my favorite Pantera album. But Vulgar Display of Power. They're neck and neck for me.
that. I hear you, man.
But I feel
Right
like
on.
Cowboys from Hell still wins because of Vulgar Display of Power. There's more songs where it's like not as like let's say like there's more parts of certain songs on Cowboys from Hell. But Walk, that's classic Pantera song, and that riff I just cannot get out of my head.
I know. It's very
Those
catchy.
riffs are awesome. Yeah.
And it's interesting too. I'll leave it at this: that unlike most bands, when they get big, they kind of mellow out. They got heavier.
Yes.
Did they?
Yeah.
They did. They got
Was Vinnie Paul always the
progressively-
drummer from day one?
Vinnie Paul
Really
was always the drummer.
Yeah, he
Because
was
the
a good
brothers
drummer.
formed the band with
Yeah.
Terry Glaze, and he was more like a. Think of early Pantera. You think of early Def Leppard. On Through the Night, High and Dry.
Okay, sure. I grew up with those
That's what
albums,
it
too.
sounds
Yeah.
like. Van Halen,
Early Def Leppard.
Kiss.
Yeah,
Sounds a lot like
yeah,
Kiss.
Yeah.
And then when Phil joined, they got really progressively
yes.
hard.
I'm impressed with Phil's deep voice, with the deepest voice in metal,
Yeah.
like talking voice. Like, oh my god.
And also, Save for Morbid Angel has another one of those like kind of
So-
voices.
So, like World According to Patrick, Pantera at number 10.
All right.
Alaric, what is your number 10?
Mine is Testament. I was having
Right,
a
Testament. Yes, we love Testament.
I was
Love
having
Chuck Billy.
the
of course.
like the earlier Testament albums I'm not really that familiar with, but the other day I was listening to New Order, and by God, what's amazing albums. And then
Yeah, man.
later stuff is also really good too. But the only reason why I was debating between Testament and Exodus is because of they're in that same kind of category of thrash metal and what else? And I'm a singer myself and all that, but I was getting down to like the singers. How do I like the voices? And yet Steve Zetra is really good, and Paul Bailoff. I just had to choose Chuck Billy from Testament. So Testament being my number 10. So what's yours?
Yeah, Testament with those.
Yeah.
They're still making great music.
Well, real quick, Zet used to be in Testament. They used to be called the Legacy, and
Wow.
Zet was in Testament. They were
That's
called the
crazy.
That's a
Legacy.
new one on me.
And then
Oh,
Zet
yeah.
said, "I'm leaving you guys," and he
Wow.
went with Exodus.
Really?
And then Testament
know
got
that.
Chuck Billy, which I agree with you. Chuck Billy's a
Yeah.
better singer. I like Zet,
Gosh,
Yeah.
but I used to. He's kind of reminds me of Bon Scott a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
Kind of Bon Scott metal,
Yeah.
Bon Scott vibe.
But
I love Bon. I love all
I
those guys.
still love his voice though. When I first saw him, it's like a baby trying to do a death growl. But now
Yeah.
I just love
Oh,
I
yeah.
just love Steve's voice. I mean, I own Persona non grata, the
What an
tour
album.
shirt. I
Great album.
on the
on.
vinyl.
I think seeing them
and all
live
that.
again
Yeah.
recently, and obviously that was such a big deal to see Testament, and definitely there's still a force to reckon with. And with Dave Lombardo in the band now, we're looking forward to the next Testament album
Oh,
with
yes.
Dave on
That's gonna
drums.
be awesome.
I mean, anyway, so my number 10 now. I'm going to preface this with the fact that it was a debate between Black Sabbath, and it turns out there's a reason why it's going to be Venom is my number 10.
Black
And
metal.
all right, let me tell you that the reason why is because I came upon Venom in a way on my own way. I didn't really have anybody telling me to go to Venom, and I felt like when I was at the time, my mindset was Megadeth, killing is my business. The Kill 'Em All, Metallica, which I adore. The first three Megadeths, the first three Metallicas, even the first three Anthraxes. I mean, of course, but
Oh yeah.
when Venom came for me, it felt like this thing I shouldn't be doing, this wrong thing.
Yeah.
And it was scary. Now you might think out there, okay, scary. What do you mean scary? It really at War with Satan, Black Metal, Welcome to Hell, War with Satan, and Possessed. Those four albums for me. I mean, I wore my jacket. My jean jacket was Welcome to Hell on it, and I went all around the neighborhood. On that, I was proud to have that jacket. But Kronos, Abaddon, Mantis, I felt that those guys were doing something. It was trashy. It was dirty. It was mean.
Yes.
It was unforbidden. And it was not exactly, the musicality wasn't at the level of, the first Megadeth albums, or Megadeth for that matter, or even Metallica or Anthrax, or Slayer. But Venom for me was a band that I felt was my own. They were my own discovery, I felt,
Yeah.
And that is why Venom is number 10.
Way ahead of their time.
Yeah,
They
yes.
started black.
New
They started
Album.
black metal.
I mean, New Album, they're part of
Yeah.
it. Kind of part of that new wave of British heavy metal, being out of England, I think Sheffield, I don't know, I think they're from
Yes.
Sheffield, but correct me if I'm wrong, but definitely that band felt like, for me, my own personal discovery. Whereas Sabbath, we're going to be 10, but they're not, because I had to go back and I had to be told, you think you got to listen to some of that. And that's when I was listening to, Fairies Wear Boots off of these
Now-
albums, and all these different bands that,
Now
hold on, all these different bands I was told to listen to, that was kind of for me getting annoying. Whereas Venom was like, okay, that's mine. You know?
Yeah.
You were saying?
The newer Venom, like people don't really listen to new Venom.
Well, there's Venom Inc., which I don't
Venom
understand.
Inc. Okay,
different.
Yeah.
Venom Inc.
Yeah.
They only put out one album, and forget them. It's Venom.
Yeah, Venom.
And Venom with the newer albums, people don't listen to it as much because the only original members, Kronos, I think.
This is Kronos.
Yeah.
Abbott is in Venom Inc. The drummer, I cannot remember his name off the top of my head.
Mantis?
He left. Yeah, he
Mantis.
left.
Mantis.
Yeah.
Mantis left.
Yeah.
Mantis, yeah.
And
So it's kind of like a battle.
Yeah, it seems like
with
that.
Yeah.
Kind of
they
broken up.
something that I really like that black metal bands, especially like extreme metal bands, when they put out a demo, I want that demo unless the sound isn't like just downright trashy.
You're
but
talking
still,
about Mayhem, aren't you? Mayhem demos?
yes.
I know where he's going
Out
with
from
this.
the dark. Yes.
Okay,
I
let's
like
get our.
second wave.
We
as
need
well.
to get our. We have a lot to discuss, and this is you can see that this lot. We have a lot to say, so let's
right.
go on. All right, World According to Patrick, number
Number
9.
Number 9. Let me make sure I have this right.
Yeah, I have a
still.
list.
Yeah.
won't let me check.
Well, it's funny you say Testament. Testament's my number 9.
All right, all
That's
right.
cool.
I
And,
love that band.
yeah.
I remember, like I was telling you earlier, it used to be Zet. Steve Souza was in Testament, and then he went on to Exodus. It's really because they're also close linked together
Yeah.
over there in the Bay Area. But
Yeah.
they came a little after the Big Four first hit. I think
Yeah.
their first album,
Yeah.
The Legacy, came out in '87.
Yeah.
And I just remember hearing it. It's probably still my favorite Testament album. I
Legacy.
mean, it really, really, I was like, oh my gosh, Over the Wall and The Haunting.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
So good, man. The whole album.
Souls of Black in there
Yeah.
anywhere? Do you feel like that
Yeah.
was?
Well, I think they did that in the New Order, and then
Yeah.
they did what was it? Practice What You Preach.
That's what you preach. Yeah.
And
I
they
like
did
this
Souls
song.
of Black and The Ritual, and I kind of lost interest.
You did. Yeah.
And then Alex Skolnick coincidentally left the band for a while, and they did an album called Low.
Yeah.
A
And I heard it with Dogface Gods on there and everything,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, they got really, really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And they did an album, they already did one album with Dave Lombardo called The Gathering. And it's just,
Okay, man.
that might be my favorite, one of my favorite
So,
Testament albums
yes.
right there.
I did not know The Gathering had Dave Lombardo
Yeah,
because
he's
I
playing
was
drums on it.
I
yeah.
was listening to it and I was like, those drums are insane.
Dave
Especially-
Lombardo, man.
Yep.
Dude.
Gosh,
And
that
then,
nice.
I
That's
was-
amazing.
Like listening to The Gathering when they played "Do Not Resuscitate" at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
concert.
DNR.
That was great to see live. And speaking about the Legacy, the song that I headbanged the most to when I saw Testament live was "Over the Wall" because I was
So
I was
good.
just like the whole time. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean,
know.
Chuck Billy's just a great singer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I could listen to it
Yes.
all day long.
Oh, yes.
And I think I got back into Chuck Billy with Formation of Damnation. That album. for
that
me,
album.
That
is-
album.
yeah.
And I'll tell you what. That,
Titans of Creation, their last one too,
oh
is amazing.
gosh,
Yeah.
Brotherhood of the Snake. I mean, you just can't say enough good things.
It's like they're
about
getting
Testament.
better.
Yeah.
It's like,
Absolutely.
like wine, like
and,
fine
oh,
wine.
God. And Exodus, for that matter, with the show, that was just an amazing, amazing bill
Mhm.
to have Exodus, Testament, and Death Angel on there. So, okay, where are we now?
Yes. All right. Number.
You're number 9,
Number
Larry?
9.
My number 9. Oh, what was it?
People.
Oh, Opeth. Opeth.
Oh,
We never seem to have an episode without mentioning them.
Yes.
Michael Ackerfeld.
Yes.
I said it again.
Martin Axel and Mike Larry.
Why Opeth, young man? Why?
Okay, why? I would say they were the second progressive metal band I ever heard, and they were massive influence. And when you introduced me into Opeth, and when I first heard them,
Gosh.
I thought it was total crap because I don't like stuff lately that's all clear singing. But I'm going back to the earlier stuff, and then I
Holy
appreciate
cow. Yeah.
Michael Ackerfeld can do that such powerful
What
growl,
albums?
and he can go a very beautiful voice.
But what albums hit home for you? With
Blackwater Park, Ghost Reveries, those
great album.
albums
Blackwater
changed,
Park. is-
changed my life.
Still Life?
Still Life is pretty good too, but I would say
My Arms, Your Hearse?
My
That
Arms-
stuff is heavy.
It's
Ooh.
still good. Yeah,
It's crazy.
But,
Yeah. Total death metal. Just complete and total commitment
Yeah.
to death metal in there.
yes.
They got proggy. You know?
Yeah,
so
they're
they
totally
did.
different band now.
Totally.
They are
And people, a
totally.
lot
Like
of
a
fans.
'70s. I kind of like their new stuff.
I love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I love
It is still
them.
pretty good.
I love them. They're a wonderful band. But
Yes.
again, we have this thing about, you couldn't put all of, these bands, putting these bands together on one list of 10, that stuff.
It's just so hard.
Now, yeah, and now my number, my number 9, guys, Judas Priest.
Oh yeah.
Now, I own every
Freaking
album by
love.
them. I think I had, my headphones, picture this, a kid, sneaking a cig with his headphones around, in the 80s, kind of Unleashed in the East was my part of my ears, my inner ears. That album, Killing Machine, Hellbent for Leather as it's known, I think probably Stained Class. I love that band. I love this band. And from Rock-a-Rolla
To
all the
Firepower.
way to Firepower, I feel, even with some of those bands, Nostradamus got a little bit kind of a little lack of focus,
Okay.
but they never failed me.
Yeah.
Never failed me, Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And, I felt like, okay, Tim Ripper Owens, that to me is not part of the equation. It's Rob Halford and boys, and that's for me. And I just, that band, I had to have them on my list because it's so influential. Unleashed in the East, the Stained Class, I mean,
It's one of the best live
Sin
albums
after
ever made,
Sin.
honestly.
Oh my gosh. And it's just, they couldn't keep a drummer for very long. But I do have to say, I mean, Dave Holland stayed there, I think, the longest. I mean, you have, look, I mean, I feel like there's just, there's something about that band that just when I listen to them and Rob, it's just, oh my gosh. Exciter. If I listen to that album, not only does it make me laugh, it makes me cry because it's so damn good.
Yeah.
Stand
Yeah.
back for a second. You listen to that, it breaks glass. Anyway, that's my number. That's my number 9, Judas Priest.
All right. Number
Back to Patrick.
Yes, number 8.
All right, my number 8 might surprise some of you guys, but they're part of the Big Four, and
That's surprising.
love this band. Other than when they did that silly "I'm the Man" crap.
I know.
I love Anthrax.
I dropped off with them the same time you did, I think, with
Yeah,
that.
that was not
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
Yeah.
I was never a huge fan of their first album, Neil Turbin.
Oh, I love that album.
Yeah.
Fistful of Metal.
Oh, that was
Spreading the
amazing.
Disease was okay.
Yeah, it
when
was
they did
okay.
Among the Living,
That was a great
oh
album.
wow, that's an
That's
absolute
a great
classic.
Caught in the
Oh, yeah.
Mosh Indians.
Yeah,
But
and
what-
I'm going to
what
tell you their
yeah.
new stuff.
Yeah.
For All Kings is pretty good, but Worship Music is
It's-
one of the
yeah.
best down there we put
I
out.
saw that tour.
What's fascinating about this
Yeah.
band too is Charlie Benante, the drummer. He plays most of the guitar riffs and writes most of
He's
the
a
guitar
talented
riffs.
guy.
Yeah.
And he writes,
He does a lot.
Scott writes the lyrics. It's Frank. It's basically Frank, Charlie, and Scott,
Yeah,
who are like the
yeah.
minds behind
Yes.
the band. But
Yeah.
I actually, that's another band that keep getting better and better. I mean,
Yeah.
I was really surprised when Worship Music came out.
I saw that
I
tour.
like stuff with John Bush too.
Yeah. I never listened
I'm a
to
big
it.
John Bush fan.
Oh, well, you'll see why I
Yeah.
am too, but I never
Oh,
listened to
okay.
that.
Yeah.
But what was your apprehension about Fistful of Metal? I just love the
I never was a big. I don't know. I know Danny Lilker, from Nuclear Assault. which I love. Nuclear
I
Assault
love
plays
Nuclear
bass on
Assault.
that.
Yeah.
I don't think he was done right because
Yeah.
Neil Turbin had him kicked out of the band, and I've never thought that. It was more Among the Living. When I
Yeah.
heard that, I was like, okay,
That was
Yeah.
their kind of their.
that's
master.
my favorite Anthrax
Well, it was
song
their
to this
master.
day.
I feel like that was their master of puppets.
That was the best year in metal, though. You
Yeah,
got Master of
absolutely.
Puppets,
Oh, yeah.
Rain and Blood,
Yeah,
Among the
absolutely.
Living. Then right a year before that, Bonded by Blood came out.
I just thank my grandma too for taking me to buy the Rain and Blood album at the mall. You gotta love a grandma who looks and goes, "Okay, what do you want, honey?" It's like, Rain and Blood, put it in the trunk, okay? We're gonna take a walk around the park now. But yeah, so Fistful of Metal. I love that album because I feel
That's
like Neil
my
Turbin.
favorite.
What I love about Neil Turbin, it sounds that untrained, kind of like Paul Bailiff, untrained but damn good.
Yes.
I don't know, I just love it. But anyway, yeah, Spreading Disease was good.
Hails to the end.
And then Among the Living.
Among
So
the Living, I
Anthrax.
love.
Well, we love Anthrax.
Love Anthrax.
I mean, Anthrax, we all love
Great
Anthrax.
live too, but just a phenomenal. And
Yeah.
I got to throw this in here because
Yeah.
it's really just like a spin-off. You
Yeah.
probably know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's probably might be my favorite. It's my favorite hardcore album of all time, and that's Charlie, Scott,
Oh.
Danny Lilker, and you have Billy Milano.
Billy Milano.
SOD.
SOD.
Speak English or Die.
Stormtroopers of Death.
That
Or
is
die.
one of the best albums ever made.
I want some milk.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
drink
But we look
beer,
at-
I drink
Look
milk.
at if you don't know what we're talking about, if
What's
you look-
that noise?
What's that? Oh my gosh, that right there. Oh my gosh.
Just a great album.
Jimi
Have to
Hendrix.
listen to that later,
The
man.
Ballad of Jimi Hendrix. Dun, dun, you're dead. Actually,
Yeah.
the thing is, SOD. That for me
Yeah.
was like kind of the effect that SOD it was going around our town. The cassette of Stormtroopers of Death, Speak English or Die, and the Rise of the Infidels, the live album and that went certified platinum. I mean, that album.
I think it did, didn't it?
It's
Or with
amazing.
gold or
It
something.
did.
Yeah,
It
it's
went
still
up.
pretty incredible because it's so heavy.
Oh, it's just so
Yeah.
good. I mean, some kids from Long Island, and they were bringing that to me, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "This is a joke, right?" But no. I mean, Dan Lilker too. I mean, those guys. Billy Milano was a beast.
Something about, since we're in hardcore punk right now, I have to mention Agnostic Front.
Oh yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Oh yeah,
Great.
Their
great
second-
stuff.
definitely.
Their
What was the
second-
first album called? I remember liking the
Their
first.
first album, I would say it's not my favorite, but the second album is the best one. That's a classic Agnostic Front. Cause for Alarm, I think.
Oh, Cause for Alarm. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one. I like.
What?
Isn't there?
then-
that was
See,
the first
you
one.
stumped me there.
I
Right?
No,
forgot.
second
It's not the
one.
first one.
No, it's the second
All
one.
right.
But when the new one, Get Loud, I love spray painted walls and songs like that. I mean, Oh, that album right there is pretty good, but it's hard to find Agnostic Front anywhere, really.
My problem with Agnostic Front was this. It wasn't musicals. Should I be riding a skateboard? 'Cause I don't live in California. Anyway, we got to move on, y'all. We got a lot to talk about. Okay, we're going back to now. Oh, was it mine?
Me. It's me.
No, he's...
Oh, it's you. Okay.
Alright. Okay.
Number 8.
Yeah. Wow, number 8.
Tree Glove. Tree Glove.
You gotta explain who
Tree
Tree
Glove,
Glove
yes.
is.
Alright, Tree Glove.
These are new guys
One,
for me.
yeah.
This
All right,
guy's-
yeah,
One
because you stumped me here.
Oh gosh, this guy Boris
Tree
is a
Glove.
monster. Yeah, go ahead,
Tree Glove,
Larry, you tell us.
He is amazing. 1 Million
Yeah.
Black Metal Projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new album, I was like, oh my god,
Is it The
it's so
Ritual?
good. Yes, The Ritual. It's so good. Night of Whispering Souls.
And he's also
Amazing.
look at this. He's got the Tree
Yes,
Glove
yes.
official Tree Glove sweater.
Yes, and then his YouTube channel is also great. And then
Why do you like Tree Glove? I mean,
Tree Glove, well,
what is it you like
it
about
has
it?
a unique sound,
Mhm.
and I remember the riffs so well. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's songs on like The Plague or The Vengeance, I would say. I just remember those riffs so well that I just can't stop humming them in my head and all that.
Mhm.
And
He's a damn good drummer too.
yes,
He's a talented guy.
he can play a
Boris.
blast beat like it's no one's business.
I mean,
It's
I watched him
amazing.
play, and I said, "Wow, there's a guy who knows how to play the drums.
Yeah.
He just flew it."
So it's
just
kind of like
totally flew
Brosum. He does everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Except that he doesn't sing.
Do they have a singer? Do they have a set
He
singer
does have
for
a
this
singer,
band?
but Boris doesn't sing. But
Yeah.
that's I would say is like Burzum, but I feel like Burzum it can almost get to DSBM kind of sounding sometimes.
What does that mean?
Depressive. I don't want to say it on the
Oh
channel.
yeah, okay, I get it.
But
I get it, yeah.
basically, it can get to that range sometimes with Burzum, but it's still really good.
Yeah.
But I would say that the Tree Glove, also Tree Glove, wow. I don't know.
He's at a
This
loss
is
for words
just so
because
good.
Tree
I know,
Glove.
it's so
Here's the
good.
thing about Tree Glove
So
being
good.
even on this
Yes.
list. It's amazing
Yeah.
because these guys, Boris. I mean, he's been around a little while, but
How many albums then?
yeah,
Two.
Two.
I mean, he's
Okay.
been
Just
relatively
possibly
new, and boy, I mean, if Alaric put these, Tree Glove on this list, that's pretty awesome
Yes.
because I loved it immediately, and I just love the catchy riffs. It's so the songs just like the songs like you feel like I know this, I like this.
Yeah.
Do I know this? This is should know this. Yeah.
Yes. Under My Skin
Yeah.
is a really good song off of Night of Whispering Souls.
Yeah.
And the album artwork, wow, just really good album artwork. And the exclusive T-shirt artwork is also outstanding.
Yeah.
And then, what else I have to say? And then it's one black metal band where there isn't really like corpse paint, but he sort of does it. But
Is he wearing the corpse paint? The video that he does that was the
kind
ritual.
of like sort of, but
Yeah.
it's not like corpse
Yeah.
like full
He
on
looks good,
corpse
isn't he?
paint. Yes, and all that.
he's
But
a cool dude.
yeah.
He's a really entertaining
He's
guy.
moving
Just
to Norway. I think he moved
Yeah.
to Norway
He's
today.
Italian. Is he of Italian descent?
He's born in Croatia.
Oh,
He
is that
moved
right?
to Italy and he moved to Norway today.
Hey, you're practically paisan. Actually,
Yeah.
no, that's pretty cool. I'm thinking it's fantastic. He's even on the list. All right,
Yes.
that was your number 8. Is
Yes.
that right? Are we with me now?
Yes.
Yes.
My number 8. Okay, guys, Armored Saint. All
Okay.
right.
It's so funny. It said John Bush.
I mean, okay, why are they on this list? I mean, there could have been some other bands that could have taken this slot. Why? Because when I bought the March of the Saint cassette at the mall, and I listened to that, nothing about that, nothing about that was just disappointing. It was so good, every song, and I remember just really going crazy over even their videos on MTV. Can You Deliver? They had that video
Yeah.
playing all the time on music
Can
television.
you deliver?
And I just thought they were such cool dudes. I love Dave Pritchard, and it's sad he's not with us today. He died young, leukemia, I think, and it's just sad.
So,
Yeah, and there's I love. And then March the Saint for me was just the band that album made me feel. This is why I love this music. I mean, while some people say it's just straightforward, it's LA metal. No, I mean, I thought these guys were just so solid, especially Joey. I can always say something great about all of them. And yeah, and then of course when Delirious Nomad came out, that was for me such a wonderful album. And then Raising Fear, and it went on. I mean, Symbol of Salvation was great, and then Revelation came on and later on. But they're putting out such really good, relevant music today. They have something to say, and I think they're intelligent guys. And I just really identify with Armored Saint as another band, kind of like Venom, where they felt like I was one of the only people listening to them in the neighborhood.
They never got that big, really.
No, they
Kinda
never
underground.
did. And I saw them live with the Queen of the Manor. We went with the Queen of the Manor, his mother, my wife, and to see Armored Saint, Death Angel, and Flotsam and Jetsam in L.A. at the House of Blues back in the day, and that was great. And I realized that wow, I really still love these guys, and our metal brother Kenny saw them recently too.
Death Angel puts on a great show.
Well, that's a whole other ball game. But Armored Saint. Okay, back to World of Carney Patrick.
All right.
Number 7.
Number 7. My number 7 is Exodus.
Oh,
Exodus.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to put them on the list.
Oh yeah.
This is a shameful manner.
Yeah. To me, they never put out a bad album. I mean, it's a shame. You know, they got picked up by an independent label and they did Bon and Bob Blood, but that should have come out a little before it did because that album had already fully been written. There's this misconception because Kirk Hammett was in the band that he wrote a lot of that album. It was pretty much all Gary Holt. Rick Hunolt did a little bit, but I mean, they just. And Paul Baloff is not the best singer in the world, but man, he made that just perfect.
Yes,
he did.
We own.
Yes.
No,
so we have that agreement.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Also, you having a Bonded by Blood cassette. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh.
So, but,
it's hard to find that.
What do you have there?
Yeah, right here.
There we go. Hold that sucker up right there.
Yeah, that's
original artwork.
Just a true classic.
The Siamese twin babies. Why did they have two alternative covers? Do you know why they just kind of did that?
Brian Slagle was watching an interview on. He was talking. It wasn't what they thought about. It was offensive. It had something to do with the money or something when they did. The artwork. It was not what people were thinking. Because I thought it was too offensive, maybe, and people were in an uproar. But it wasn't that. That's what I heard anyway. But I mean, pretty much their whole entire catalog. I mean, they took a little hiatus, but even Force of Habit, which would be considered the most commercial album. I don't think they've ever released a bad album. No. Their last album is just
completely
man.
Consistent. You're saying they're excellent.
Gary Holt's one of my all-time favorite guitar players too. I mean, Tom Hunting's an underrated drummer.
And he went through Tom went through cancer, didn't he?
He did. And, he had stomach cancer. He's still not. I think he's doing a little better now. But I think we were all at that show. Last show with Death Angel and Exodus and Testament.
Tom was. You just feel like the guy's. He's drumming like a 20-year-old could do it.
Great drummer.
He's amazing. He's a monster.
Yeah, I mean
Exodus. Yeah, there's no doubt. Exodus is a force, and I'm so glad they're putting out new music now. Which is so appreciated.
Yeah, and like Paul Baloff, the singing with Zet is hit or miss with me. I used to not really care for his vocals. Now I love his vocals. It took me a while.
I was the same way.
It took me a while to get into his vocals.
Of the Flesh is, I like a salad. I like mashed baked potatoes.
Such a good album.
I like that. If you know what we're talking about, the album. Pleasure of the Flesh.
After that's like,
Pleasures of the Flesh is a great album. But Bonded by Blood was, again, to totally emphasize, that album was like, to me, that was the quintessential thrash album in the 80s. It was
one of the albums that shaped thrash. You could say that it goes in the top 5 for like best thrash metal albums.
Dare I say if there was a big 5, would it be Exodus?
I think so.
Would it be Testament? Or Death Angel. There's just so many bands, but I think Exodus I would say.
And I got to give a shout out to Rob Dukes. I think with the albums he did, Shovelheaded Kill Machine and Exhibit A and Exhibit B, Atrocity Exhibit. I think those are great.
Yeah, you're forgetting that. I'm forgetting that. That's right. That was a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a great singer, great frontman. I went and saw them with Rob Dukes, The Masquerade, and this was an odd time. There was probably 50 people there.
Such a shame.
It was amazing.
But
I was right there in front of Gary Holt. So
exactly.
Way before he joined Slayer before Jeff Hammond got sick. But,
man.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Exodus. World of Carney Patrick says Exodus was number what? That was 7?
Number 7.
Alaric, what's your number 7?
All right,
Mayhem. There we go, guys. The latest Mayhem album, as far as I know. It's right there behind Alaric. Why Mayhem? Why are they on your list? Let's give it some facts here and some detail here.
Now, this I never told you. When I first got Out From the Dark demo, I had no idea what it was, and I had no clue what Mayhem was.
You just like Dead on the cover? Was that
I like Dead on the cover. So I got it. I listened to it, and when I heard Out From the Dark demo for the first time, it blew my mind. I mean, hearing Death Crush and wow, it just it changed my whole point of view of screaming, and it changed my point of view of second wave black metal in general. And what else? Demistress on Satanus. Funeral Fog. Funeral Fog was one of the first Mayhem songs I ever heard, and just You know, if you know Mayhem, you know the story behind them. Absolutely crazy.
There's so much drama
Yes.
behind this band. And
Yeah.
this
Sure.
is the band that separates the men from the boys, okay?
Well, they made a movie about it.
And I don't think they
Well,
liked it. I don't think Euronymous, not Euronymous, it was Necro Butcher.
Butcher.
You guys,
Necro Butcher's on the
Necro Butcher
original,
did
yeah.
not like Lords of Chaos? Is that what we were told?
Yes, and okay, guess what? So, at the end of the movie, Varg Vikernes is butchering Euronymous like a pig in a slaughterhouse, but that's not how it is.
No.
That was not how it is at all.
Yeah.
It was a fight. It was not like.
Oh, I feel better now.
It wasn't brutal.
It was a fight.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
But still, it was
It was still
pretty
like
brutal.
I know, but they did like Euronymous didn't freaking cry at the end. He wasn't
Yeah.
crying like a sissy at the
Yeah.
end.
Well, and I also don't drink milk before a show. There's a lot of bull that
Yeah.
was in there. I mean, look, guys, these movies, they completely just go
Yeah.
off the rails. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to move on from Mayhem because they can get, we might as well that could be the end of the show right there, folks. Some of you guys
You could
already
probably
clicked
make the
up.
whole show.
So,
on
yeah,
this stuff.
absolutely. So, where are we now? Okay, I'm going to go to my number 7. Except the German band, except
good
Udo
choice.
Dirkschneider. Das ist gut! And you know what? These guys, here's a band that Breaker, I'm a Rebel, and then you have, those albums and Balls to the Wall. I think Balls to the Wall, even with the video with the puppet going up against, the brick wall, it was hilarious. But I love Accept. I love this band. And there's just nothing I felt that they could do wrong. I mean, they're just so good. I loved Udo's voice. I love their music. Wolf Hoffman. Now, see, this is why I love this band specifically. Wolf Hoffman, being that he's a classically trained guy. He brings in the classical elements, and I always felt that really made me hooked onto this band. But again, earlier albums, 70s kind of sounding, almost a little bit kind of. A little bit kind of on the fence between whether this is like, what does it sound like? Is this really metal? But they charmed me, like Exodus. And when Russian Roulette came out, I just was, I love that album so much. It's just something about that album. And some people might say it's kind of poppy, it's kind of basic and traditional. I don't know. They speak to me, Accept. And I still love what they're doing to this day with
I
Mark
was going to say their last 3 or 4
Oh,
albums.
my gosh.
When they
Yes.
took a big hiatus and then they
Yeah.
Blood
yeah.
of the Nations. Was that
Yes.
the first one they
Oh,
come
yes.
back?
Yeah, and
The Bloody Fist on that.
Oh yeah, and of course, Too Mean to Die. They have a song on there in the new album where Wolf takes a Beethoven piece of music, Ludwig von Beethoven, and he turns it into a metal song. How can you? I love that. 'Cause
Great guitar player.
I'm a classical guy too. I'm a classical nut, as I am a
Very
metal nut.
underrated.
And there we go. Accept. There we go. Let's go. All right, world according to
Number
Patrick.
6.
Number 6.
Number 6. We're already at number 6. Okay. Well, this is no surprise. I love this band. I know he's obviously excuse my asshole.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
you know.
you can't get
Hey,
along with
you
anybody.
Can't deny it.
Megadeth.
And that's what I was gonna think. There's no.
Yeah, Megadeth. I love.
Sorry,
You've
Dave.
seen my
I thought-
CD collection.
Yeah,
I
There's
thought-
like the
I thought you
20
were
all
thinking-
kinds of re-releases or anything.
Oh,
but
we
I
love
thought you were thinking
Megadeth,
of Danzig for a second.
Glenn Danzig.
because-
No, let's think
Yeah.
about. All right, so why Megadeth? Why is that your number 7?
Well, I mean,
Number
the
6.
first
6.
album, number
6,
6.
sorry. 6.
The first album I heard,
Mhm.
there used to be you remember the magazine used to come out, Metal Maniacs?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that came out of publication.
Yeah.
So I'd heard about the debacle. I heard Metallica first. So I went back and I'd heard Killing Is My Business. I hadn't heard it yet,
Great.
but I heard Peace Sells, But Who's Buying?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just blown away by
Yeah, I
the
love
musicianship. But I saw the video for Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? Then Wake Up Dead. And to this day,
Yeah.
Chris Poland's probably one of my favorite
He's such
guitar
a great
players.
guitar
I just
player.
wish Dave could have kept him
Yeah,
in the
me
loop.
too. Me
Yeah.
too.
And Gar Samuelson too. You talk about it. Those guys came from a jazz band.
Absolutely.
So, they
Yeah.
play
These-
jazz music.
these guys-
jazz fusion. band.
Those guys
Yeah.
are absolute musicians.
Yeah.
Jazzers playing metal. With Killing My
Yeah.
Business especially. Skull Beneath the Skin, and those songs were so well crafted.
Yes. I
Yeah,
know.
and they went through a little, just like with Testament. I mean, when they did Super Collider and The World
Yeah,
Needs a Hero,
sure.
and
Yeah.
I think
there's
Risk was
another-
the worst album I
Risk.
think ever made.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Risk.
But
I think it was their
terrible.
Lulu. It was their Metallica Lulu moment.
Yeah.
No,
Not as
okay.
bad.
Don't compare.
No, right, no,
Don't
exactly.
compare Risk and Lulu.
No,
Lulu was
yeah.
absolute.
Well, that's true. That might have been an unfair
Really?
stab, but no, Megadeth's first album. And so you think when you had that
It's about
album,
86 when I
yeah,
got
86,
into them.
and you feel like that was the album. That's the band you wish could have stayed together.
And it's still my favorite Megadeth. But I mean, I think
Absolutely.
their last album,
Yeah.
The Sick, the Dying, the Dead. I mean, we've
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah,
I
I'm on
hope,
the
you
fence
got to
still.
get some more
I'm
listens,
on the
maybe.
fence with it still, and I think I have to listen.
Dystopia.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Dystopia, I
is
love.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the threat is real.
You know, I
all
love
that.
Dystopia, and
And then-
I have to listen to Sick, the Dying, the Dead. I have to give that another chance because I really wasn't, I think, in the
Now,
mood at the time. I have to-
Life
No, it's a
but
well made album though.
Life in Hell though, it sounds off of like Rust in Peace. I mean that song right there off of Sick to Dying and the Dead, that would go on my top 15 favorite Megadeth songs, I would say. But really, that's the only song where I get like blown away by.
Well,
the new
let me ask you
album.
this though, Patrick. About see for me, it was like Killing Was My Business, Peace Sells, Who's Buying, and then what did you think about So Far So Good So What? Because I love that album.
I love that album too.
Except for Anarchy in the UK, I wasn't too crazy about that. I didn't need that to be on the
Yeah,
album.
Anarchy in the USA, I thought that was corny.
Yeah,
but other than that, I mean, you
Sex
know,
Pistols
but
were-
I mean, Rust in Peace. I mean, he has had so many phenomenal guitar players too. Marty Friedman.
Yeah.
Chris Paul is on my favorite. I like Chris Broderick too. And then you had one of the Drover brothers, Sean Drover's brother, Glenn played on the
Drover.
one album. United
Was that
Abominations.
Yeah,
and you
United
have Kiko.
Abominations. Yeah.
That guy is
Kiko Loureiro.
amazing.
Kiko Loureiro.
Yeah,
Yeah, just incredible. But
I mean Megadeth. There's absolutely those are the great reasons why we need Megadeth on this one of these lists, because we all agree. I mean, I think those first.
and he wrote about
four
Half Will
albums.
Kill 'Em All too, so I mean,
Gosh.
which is one of my favorite Metallica.
Yeah. All right, Alaric, what say you? Number
Six
number
is
6.
Creator.
Creator.
Oh, good choice.
Another German band.
Yes, German metal is absolutely good. Just really good German metal. I mean,
Yeah.
Powerwolf, their new album called The Wild may get like kind of weird at some moments, but the first album is amazing. And then Blood of the Saints with We Drink Your Blood Off of It.
Wait, you're talking about Creator or Powerwolf?
I'm talking about Powerwolf now, but
Oh,
making a connection with German
okay,
metal.
Sure.
And then Accept, that's another great German metal, but then going in the thrash part, you got Destruction, stuff like that. I just love with German thrash, but with Creator Mile Petroza, you said he sounds like Yoda.
Oh, he does.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought you said
Millie.
I still love-
Yeah,
I still love his voice.
Sergio Corbucci is
I still
I'm
love
dead.
surprised you
voice.
remember that. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He
I
sounds like
remember
Yoda.
certain
man.
stuff.
But seeing
Yeah.
Creator for the first time for me recently was
soul.
just
Yeah.
unbelievable. They're such a good show. They're such an amazing show. I mean, I was blown away by Creator and just the energy they have.
Yes.
So Creator.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna seeing them the second time in
they're coming
May
up,
is
yeah.
gonna be super.
One,
cool.
we're seeing them headline, and who's on that bill? Creator.
It's with Death Angel and
Spirit World.
I have no clue.
Spirit World. We don't know who
Yeah,
they are. I
I
don't even know
know.
why they're on this
And then-
list, but
And then Sepultura. I mean, Sepultura. They're still thrash.
Sepultura. Yeah.
Because Max Cavalera albums with like Schizophrenia
Yeah.
and Arise. I mean, those albums right there are very thrash. So I feel like I'm glad they are on the bill.
Okay.
But Creator in general, that band, dude, just
Pleasure to Kill is
yeah.
such a great album.
Yes.
Period.
Extreme Aggression's another.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yes,
God.
yes. And then
Yeah.
People of the Lie is a really great song. And then the new album, Hey to Rels. What is
Hey
your
to Rels,
opinion
yeah.
on that? I love that album. What's your opinion?
I like it. They went through a period there in the '90s where they kind of
yeah,
started trying to be like a new metal band.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I lost interest
Is
in
that right?
Creator
Yeah.
for a while. They did how many? About almost a decade.
They did
Well,
two.
they did like
Yeah.
it just didn't sound like
Actually,
Creator.
not
Yeah.
really. There's
Straying from
only
the path.
only 2 albums that I didn't like by them.
Really? Okay.
And then there's this one album where they had this. Mile wasn't singing like himself, and it just sounded weird. But I'm glad that what's the album right before Hater Browse? I still have to say I love Mile's back to his roots with his voice and all
Yeah,
that.
they're definitely
Yeah.
back to their old hardcore sound. Yeah, the sound they had before.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there we go. Creator. My number 6 is Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force because,
Okay.
and there we go again. I collect my classical connection because I'm a big classical music buff, and I when I first heard Rising Force, I mean I had to go back to Alcatraz and Steeler when Yngwie came to the country from Stockholm, Sweden, and when I heard Rising Force, and I know Barrymore Barlow, who had originally been of Jethro Tull fame, with Jens Johansson on keyboards, and you're like, oh my gosh, I loved everything about that first album, Rising Force. And then Marching Out came out, and then Just Got Settled. They had him singing a little bit on the first album. I love songs like Now Your Ships Are Burned, and recently Yngwie's been singing these songs live.
Yeah, he's singing now.
And actually, my favorite Yngwie Malmsteen singer is Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yes.
I love Just Got Settled. I
Okay.
love him. Gordon Edmond is great. I love a lot of. I mean, Joe Lynn Turner.
I was gonna ask you if you like
Joe
Joe
Lynn, I love
Turner.
Joe Lynn Turner. I
Or
love
Graham Bonnet.
Graham Bonnet. I mean, they're great singers. I mean,
Graham Bonnet's one of all time.
Oh man, yeah. And I have the Alcatraz album.
We have.
But so, but think about it though. Why Yngwie Malmsteen? Because probably for me, Rising Force Marching Out and Odyssey, and then it went on from there. I admit there's some songs some albums that okay, they could have had maybe a little bit better idea about who could be singing these songs, but I have to say he is to me he's a composer. He writes classical music. It's not like Metallica playing with an orchestra and S&M Symphony in Metallica. This is a man who's very unique to metal. He's writing music that is it's rooted in Antonio Vivaldi and Niccolo Paganini violin lines. And I said that in the first episode when we started this a year ago. And I think Yngwie is a special guy. And Parabellum, we saw that tour recently at Center Stage. Yes. He blew me away.
Yeah,
and he sang old songs, they sang new songs, they even did he had blues lightning, he had some blues music.
Yeah, the Smoke on
Blue
the
Lightning
Water.
album, they played some Smoke on the Water, even Deep Purple. But the guy is so talented. He to me is a living like if Mozart came back or Vivaldi or somebody. The guy is amazing. He just we have to give it up to him. If you don't love him, some of the songs might be they're cheesy. He's kind of sound. Look, I love it. I'll take all the cheese and the bread and tomatoes and all that. So
and also
Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Patrick for number 5.
Okay, well, number 5 has got to be on here. You said him earlier, Judas Priest.
Yes.
Judas Priest. The metal god, Rob Halford.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I was so young the first time I heard him. Probably the first album I heard was "Screaming for Vengeance." Of course, You've Got Another Thing Coming, but
yeah, I like
went
that too.
back, and then some friends turned me on. It's still my favorite album by them. It's kind of more obscure. Their second album, "Sad Wings to Destiny."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just a phenomenal album. You're right about the drummer changes.
Oh, yeah.
Travis got Travis from Racer X and then Dave Holland, but they've had. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I even like the new stuff with Richie Faulkner, which was a great guitar player. Yeah. But I mean, from Rock-a-Rolla, I will say this: I don't care for Turbo. I don't care for Ram It Down. I was going, they start doing the guitar synths. It's a bit Nostradamus too. That's cringy.
There's some of that, like I said, a couple of those.
Nostradamus is just way too drug out or whatever. But I was really shocked when I heard that. But other than that, I mean, really, So number 5 is Judas Priest.
Nice. Okay, Eric, you're number 5.
Number 5, Merciful Fate.
Oh, good choice.
I got the shirt on just because.
Yes. Merciful Fate.
Merciful Fate. Why Merciful Fate?
Their show was outstanding. Oh. That was amazing to see.
Nobody sings like King Diamond.
I know. Don't Break the Oath was actually one of the first metal albums I've ever heard. And Don't Break the Oath and Melissa were really good. But songs like Black Funeral or something like that, off of Melissa, the first track, that song, when I first heard it, I did not like it, but now I really like it. And I used to think King's, when I first got into Merciful Fate, King's voice, I didn't like his mid-range vocal, but I love it now. I love all 3.
He's like 3 singers in one.
I love all 3 of his vocals that he's capable of doing. But the new album, I'm so excited. Jacqueline Salzburg is a really good song.
9-minute song. I can't wait for this new album.
They played that live too, didn't they?
They did, and they played that one live. We're just waiting for Merciful Fate.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see them.
Oh God, we're waiting for them to put out a new album, and King Diamond's putting out a new album as well. And again, people ask the same question: how does this guy sound this good still? I mean, maybe he didn't do drugs and drink so much. Maybe he didn't have to do all that. Maybe he just took care of his voice. I don't know. But the guy can sing like he did back in the early 80s.
Hank Sherman's one of my favorite guitar players, too. I was fortunate, I was telling you guys earlier, I was fortunate enough in 93 to see him. The original lineup, other than the drummer. But,
and then, of course, we missed a couple of these, older guys, like Kim Ruz. And it's just Timmy Grabber Hansen, I know, died.
Yeah, he passed away about a year ago. Yeah.
But boy, I'll tell you, Merciful Fate for me it's an experience when you see them live, and I know we all know what we're talking about because if you've seen these guys, it's insane. Okay, so where are we now? Okay, let's see where that was.
Number 5.
My number 5. Oh my gosh, Merciful Fate.
Oh, look at this.
And we didn't even plan our list together.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say much
Father
more.
like son.
I mean, I already told you why Merciful Fate's on this. Because for me, Don't Break the Oath I heard first, then Melissa. And of course, really just the beginning, all that. Those albums, again, where I felt like I was listening to something I shouldn't be listening to. Like Venom. And I think my parents weren't that worried about it. Just like when I brought out War with Satan home by Venom, they didn't care that I brought home Don't Break the Oath because they knew I was, a pretty level-headed guy. But still, it was music I felt like it kind of went past the that threshold, that line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is exactly right. I felt creeped out by Don't Break the Oath when I was younger. But I loved the way it made me feel.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Early Sodom was kind of had that vocals where it was like very like King Diamond. I'm not saying his vocals are brutal, but Sodom had was one of those first bands where it had brutal, creepy vocals.
Yeah, we talked
I
about that in
would say,
Savannah.
yeah.
Creepy, brutal, scary, fearful. All these different adjectives we use. It really comes down to just music that it's not for everybody. We don't want it to. Do we want everything to be for everybody?
No, it would not be the same if everybody liked metal.
No.
And they played on the radio all the time, it would ruin it.
No, it would ruin it for me.
You know?
Okay, that's all I'd say about Merciful Fate because I pretty much said it. Let's go on to and Patrick. Okay, what do we have here for number four?
Right, number 4, right?
Yep, number 4.
Number 4, another obvious one. A lot of these are obvious for me, but they're my favorite bands I grew up with, and that's Iron Maiden.
Oh,
Iron Maiden?
Iron Maiden's still to this day one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yeah.
They also went through an area there with Blaze Bailey. I'm not that crazy about that.
Yeah. Thumbs
Last
down.
couple albums, Senjutsu, but I still,
Really?
I don't
Yeah,
think,
you have some apprehensions in Jitsu?
Okay.
I don't like it. Like I like the Book of Souls. I was
Sure,
telling you
okay,
guys.
yeah. That's a good album.
And I love Brave New World. I like Dance of Death a lot.
Well, Brave New World brought me back into them.
Yeah, because they
I
went
But
through-
but Bruce.
I lost a lot of interest after Adrian Smith left.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think he's one of their underrated player in that band.
Well, when
He's
Bruce
really
left,
Bruce and Adrian especially. But
yeah, when they both left, it was over for me for a while.
my favorite album, believe it or not, is Killers. Though I mean, I love Paul
That's really
Di'Anno.
good.
He brought that kind of punk rock vibe, and I love the first album.
Yeah.
Of course, Peace of Mind's probably my second favorite Maiden album.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Really
front to
good.
back. Yeah, I don't dislike Senjutsu. I love the first 3 songs. I just think I
it's a
love
commitment.
some of their stuff with Kevin. Yeah.
That's a major.
It's kind of like progressive rock. You're talking about commit. Yeah, some of these
it's a
songs,
bit-
it's like they should
You
shorten
just
them a little
want,
bit.
yeah,
It's
Steve.
17 minutes, the same long, bass over the beginning, and you hear the
Steve
singers
just
like,
loves that. I think Peace of Mind being, I said in one of the early episodes of the show, is I love Peace of Mind is my favorite. But I mean, I think my favorite song,
Love Peace of Mind.
Murders in the Room Org off of Killers.
Murders in the Room
Yeah, I mean,
Org,
someone called the Gendarmes. Actually, that's a
Purgatory
great
too.
lyric.
Purgatory.
And so yeah. So Iron Maiden. Did you? What was the first time did you ever see Maiden? You've seen them a few
I
times?
saw them on Somewhere in Time tour with Yngwie Malmsteen opening up
All right,
with
that's-
Joe Lynn
Oh,
Turner
wow.
singing.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's one
Oh,
of
the
the first
Odyssey
shows I
tour,
went to.
right? The Odyssey
Yes,
tour? Oh,
I did see
God,
that.
Yeah.
That's
And had
amazing.
great seats for that.
That's
That was
incredible.
really, really cool.
You
That's
saw
the first
Anders
time I saw
Johansson. You saw Anders Johansson play the drums and Jens Johansson. Were they on the tour too? Because
I don't remember that. I couldn't tell you
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'd be lying.
It
But
must
I
be-
do remember Joe Lynn Turner because I've always been a big
Yeah.
Joe Lynn Turner
Great
fan.
voice.
I'm a big Rainbow
just
fan. Yeah.
And again, like Graham Bonnet and Joe Lynch. These guys have that rich voice.
He's had some great singers too.
Yes.
so good.
And
Wow. So there we go. So anything else you want to say about Maiden?
No, I mean that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
I mean they
Iron
had to be
Maiden.
on there. A lot of these are
Mine.
predictable, but these are my favorite metal
Yeah.
bands.
And there's so many bands that, and we'll have to do honorable mentions. We're almost gonna
Sure.
we're gonna wrap this up soon. But we got Alaric, your
4.
number
4 is Amon Amarth.
Amon Amarth.
Now, when I heard Amon Amarth, the Great Heathen Army, I loved the album, but when I first heard Berserker, and I did not like Browning whatsoever, I thought it was really bad. But now I just love Amon Amarth, and I have the
I do
deluxe
too.
box set of
I
Great
just-
Heathen Army.
Yeah, so good.
And then Berserker and Crack the Sky is just such a great
Berserker.
song.
I think I like Berserker better than the Great Heathen Army.
That's, yeah.
That says a lot.
I
I
will
love
say
the Great
that.
Heathen Army. Yeah.
Saxons and Vikings is a really
Yeah.
good song with Biff Bifford from Saxon.
Yeah.
Was on there. That was really good.
Amon Amarth, Larry, if you don't mind me interrupting for a minute and saying that this is a band that I think almost can be at the level of Iron Maiden with their production, their stage.
Sure.
production.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they have Vikings fighting. They have, they have the Odins on either side. The inflatables. There's not too many bands using inflatables as Iron Maiden and Amon Amarth. I think Johan Haig is at that point where he's so loved and he knows it.
Yes.
He grabs the audience just like Bruce.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, Bruce Dickinson.
I've never seen them live.
Oh, so good.
I need
Oh,
to,
they're
yeah.
amazing.
Saw him recently. Really
Amazing.
fantastic. Okay, so Amon Amarth is okay. So where are we now? My
Number 4. 4?
My number 4 is Death Angel.
All right.
I bought the
Good
Ultra
choice, man.
Yeah.
Death Angel. I bought the vinyl, the Ultra vinyls in 1986, was it? Maybe, if I'm wrong, I don't know. 87. But I remember that was their first album, and I think I put the needle down on that wax. I was just like, okay, I love these guys. And they seemed a bit different. They seemed like I don't know what it was about them. It just seemed they were young. I mean, I think Andy Gallione, the drummer, was like 15 or something like that. They were so young. And they just played so ferociously. And after that, it was history. I think there was, to me, not a bad Death Angel album, even Act 3. I think Act 3, and then Andy Gallione got in a car accident. After Act 3, they were on a hiatus for a long time. And then what album came out? And the Art of Dying.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's
and I saw that tour.
Land of Blood, Throne of Wolves.
They came back, but they, obviously, they had a couple of people. Who was it that left? We had, Ted Aguilar came in. And so Gus left and Ted Aguilar came in. It had some different people.
I think they have 2 original members.
Marco Segueda, Rob Cavastani. But I saw Andy and who is it? There was a couple. Yeah, they were just. It was so good. I'm just overwhelmed as you're talking about them because they're so good. But I really just love these guys, from the first album all the way to the latest one. Humanicide, right?
Yeah.
We saw them recently. We're seeing them again, and
Yes.
Death Angel. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going down to
Number
making
3.
our way down the list with Patrick. What say you on the number?
Number
3.
3. Yeah, number 3 is Slayer.
Slayer.
I remember you were bringing that
That's
up earlier.
crazy. That's your number 3.
You talk about being scared.
Yeah.
I remember I talked about this when I did my record review of Slayer, or my album rankings of Slayer. I was at Sam Goody, I believe.
Yeah.
And my mom wasn't paying attention. She was like, okay, and I bought Rain and Blood. I was like scared.
Yeah.
When you see that cover, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and I remember listening to it.
Absolutely.
I didn't know what to think at first.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you had to listen to a few times over. And then I just became obsessed with the band.
Yeah.
And of course, I went back and got Hell Awaits, Show No Mercy, and then, of course, everything,
That's
after
exactly
that. I've seen that band live probably more than any band, them or Metallica. Or Pantera. I've seen that band.
It's
Probably
funny how you went back to Elevates. I had to go back to Elevates too because I had some friends.
Rain was the first one I heard.
Yeah, me too. And 86.
86 was a great year for metal, man.
Def Jam Records, Rick Rubin. produced it.
Rick Rubin.
Criminally Insane. Just the fact that Dave Lombardo was so crisp, and you had character. I mean, guys, Hanneman, King, Uriah, and
Jeff
Lombardo.
Hanneman is, to me, one of the most underrated. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's a little more creative than Carrie, actually.
When they were writing
and when he
songs-
passed and left, it wasn't the same.
Look, when I heard Chemical
It's one
Warfare, and I heard, we're listening to that EP, Chemical Warfare, and it was Aggressive Perfector. Was it?
It's Haunting the Chapel.
Haunting the Chapel.
Oh, I'm sorry. Haunting the Chapel. Excuse me. Haunting the Chapel. What a great EP, and it's just so awesome. And you think to yourself, well, okay, these guys are gonna stick around for a while. They're not going anywhere. Yeah, but Haunting the Chapel. When I heard that, it's just like, holy cow.
Oh
It's just
yeah.
wrapped-
Yeah. I
captured-
don't think they ever released a bad
captured
album.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people are gonna. I don't even have a problem with Diablo some music. I know a lot of people do.
I like it.
I like it.
I
It's
have really
definitely
like
a
it.
different sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Hanneman's all, and he was by far my favorite member of Slayer.
Yeah,
So.
I think on your episode we watched on your episode of The World According to Patrick, I was getting a kick out of you guys were talking about Diablo some music and
Yeah, because
Uncle
my
Fester,
nephew.
Uncle Fester's
yeah.
on the cover. It's kind of like I love it
I
because
forgot about that.
And what were you guys saying in that episode? You were saying it was kind
Taylor
of
didn't care for it. Most
going a
people
bit.
don't.
It was going a bit not industrial.
New metal.
New metal, kind of in a sense.
Yeah,
Not industrial, new
it's definitely not one of my favorite
No.
albums, but I think it gets a little too much.
It's a bit of a kind of an even. It kind of stays on the same line the whole way.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like
Okay.
it jumps. Okay, here we go. Next.
But hold on.
Yeah, sure.
One thing about new metal. Now, something about Limp Bizkit and Zach Wilde. Zach Wilde, he says some stuff on stage about Limp Bizkit that I love. That he says.
All right.
I can't say it on the show,
No, you
of
can't,
course,
maybe, yeah.
but it's great. But certain bands of
Yeah.
I don't like rap and metal at all.
I'm not a
Slipknot-
fan of it. And
I'm not a fan
Like
of
Slip-
either.
fan.
Slipknot.
But I didn't see that with Diablo
Yeah.
as being new metal.
No.
But
Okay.
Not
No,
really,
not
but
really, no.
Slipknot is the only new metal band that I find acceptable
Slipknot? I
that
like
will put in my
Slipknot.
top 20. But
Yeah.
otherwise,
Well, there you go.
All right.
There we have it. So now we're going to go on to number 2.
Well, actually,
Oh, no,
we're number 3.
We're
right?
number 3, right? Number 3.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
So did you do your number 3 yet?
Yeah, no, it's your number 3.
You're not going to believe this. It's Slayer. Slayer is my number 3.
Okay.
And so you understand that, Patrick and I have the same number 3. Same reasons that he told you. I feel like, exactly the same order of the band. I'm sorry, of the albums that we introduced ourselves to. I mean, Rain and Blood, and then you go back to, obviously Show No Mercy, Hell Awaits, and then,
That's
Haunted
funny. You have
Chapel.
number 3 is Slayer too.
Isn't that something? That's absolutely crazy. We didn't talk about our list before. And that I really don't have to say, what can you say? It's Slayer, all right? We're sorry we missed them.
Slayer.
We love them, and, it was great Gary Holt jumped in, and of course
He
Paul
did a
Bostock.
phenomenal job.
He did.
Great.
He was the guy. And Paul Bostock, I've seen Paul Bostock. Look, I've seen Paul, I'm not saying his name, Bostaff. I watched him play a whole Anthrax set because Charlie had to go leave last minute to go take care of something in the family. Paul gets behind the drums and plays all the Anthrax songs to a T, and then he gets behind to play with Testament. And this,
he played on that Testament, which was phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
and so there we go. Slayer was my number 3.
Okay.
All right, we're going down to number 2. Patrick.
Number 2, and this is another band that I had a love-hate thing with for many years, but I mean, they got me into this form of music because when this band came out, it's pretty much all glam rock, like Motley Crue and Poison and all that. All the girls liked all that, and actually, me and a couple other guys were the first people that I knew in Georgia to listen to this band, and that's Metallica. Metallica is going to be,
makes sense. I mean, they absolutely made it.
Oh, they're the new Led Zeppelin,
Yeah,
for sure. I think so. They
Except
changed
bigger
it.
and more
Yeah,
mainstream.
and I think in a lot of ways they possibly
I
are.
felt bad for me with not putting Metallica, higher or at all, because for me, I love Metallica. Look, those first 3
Master of
albums.
Puppets is one of the
It's a
greatest albums
classic.
ever made.
It
So
is.
it's Kill 'Em All.
So
Leopard
really
Messiah is one of my favorite songs they've ever written.
When they did the Black Album, I was already like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then they did
Yeah.
Load, Reload, and
Yep.
Saint Anger.
Oh.
Oh my God. And
Yeah, we had a couple of duds there, didn't we? And
yeah.
but
I mean,
Kill 'Em
first
All, look, Kill 'Em All, when you heard, I remember buying Kill 'Em All.
That came out before any of the other big 4
It
albums
was
came out. Yeah.
First time,
Hit the lights, just that goes on a needle, and you're like, okay.
but first time I ever heard Reload, I was just thinking, oh
Well,
God.
this just wasn't
And
for
then-
me in the 90s.
And then
yeah.
after I finished listening to the album, I had to cleanse my ears, so I listened to Ride the Lightning.
Yeah, well, look,
But,
I think I
still,
probably
yeah,
every
really
day of
good.
the 80s I woke up to Fight Fire with Fire. I think probably my parents knew I was awake when I put the needle down on Fight Fire with Fire.
Oh, it changed
I was
everything for me.
awake.
It made me want
Yeah.
to be in a band.
Yep.
And that's the reason why
Yeah.
they're up there that high. Because
Yeah.
I went through a period for a decade. I was like, I'm not listening to them anymore.
Yeah.
And then you go back and those albums are just phenomenal.
You put on Creeping
I mean,
Death and
dude.
Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg, you'll know why I love Metallica. Because
And I think their last 2 albums are pretty good.
I love the last
Hardwired
one.
and
I love
Death Magnetic are
Hardwired
good
is
albums.
I think I saw Death Magnetic with Gojira opened up for them. I think for me that was when I re-loved Metallica again.
It's a good album.
And
It's
I
a good,
love
solid album.
Hardwired. I don't like Hardwired to Self-Destruct as much as
I really
Death
like that
Magnetic.
album a lot.
I like
You know,
Hardwired better.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, well, I like Death
Yeah.
Magnetic better. But
Yeah.
hey, look, they're putting out
Yeah.
really good music. Now, I must say Metallica, you were saying Metallica. What do you think? Let's ask Patrick this, because this is the world according to Patrick. At the Manor, what do you think about the latest releases of the songs? Let's get your opinion on that.
There's 3 that I've heard. What is the
Yeah.
name of the last one that came out? I love it.
If Darkness Had a Son.
If Darkness Had a
That's
Son,
great.
I love
This one
that.
with Suicide.
No, I did not like that
The
at all.
first one I heard, though, is my favorite.
Lux Eterna.
Lux
Yeah.
Eterna, great.
Great.
Do you agree? I mean, do you
I
feel,
absolutely
I
like
love
it a
Lux
lot.
Eterna. It's so uplifting. It sounds like a corny
Yes.
adjective to use for metal, but it's like I loved it.
Well, 2 things
Yeah.
happened in this band that I think, that one was beyond their control. I think when Cliff Burton died, that really,
That didn't help anyway.
really put a
Yeah,
pause
no,
on everything. I think it
absolutely.
really messed them up.
Did.
And then Bob Rock, who
Oh.
I'm not a fan of.
Oh,
Oh.
He
drama
made
queen.
his voice.
Drama queen.
And then,
Ronnie, honey.
and then his voice changed,
Yeah, yeah.
and that really bothered me for
I didn't
many
appreciate
years.
the
But
Bob
now,
Rock years.
you know.
I didn't like the Black Album. I must tell you, I did
And
not.
I met them and hung out with them. I had an opportunity
Did
to hang
you?
out with them
Wow.
pretty much all night,
Dang.
and
That's-
I was like, I reinvigorated.
That's
Like
so
these are
cool.
actually pretty. They're pretty, and this is after they got huge.
Yeah.
This is a '93
amazing. Wow.
after the Black Album.
Nice.
So I was like,
And
you
they're
know
still
what?
Metallica.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, okay, they're not all of a sudden a
Yes.
different bunch of guys. I mean, this is the band that wrote Kill 'Em All, Ride Lightning, and Master Puppets. And then, this is the band. This is the guy. These are the guys. And Cliff Burton, of course, is no longer around. But
About the newest.
But I do love if darkness had a son. I love the chorus. I mean, I don't like. Please, guys, stop writing about suicide. Okay, I just got tired of that theme. It's tiring.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
I agree.
Who cares? I mean, listen to that Queen song. Don't try suicide. Nobody cares. And let's talk about Queen for a minute.
Yeah,
Anyway, go. Yeah. So where are we?
But hold on.
Hold on.
The three Metallica songs, Lux Eterna,
Yeah.
a really good song, Scream the Suicide, and Darkness Had a Son. They just don't. They don't trigger trigger me as much as Alexi Turna, if how much
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, those two songs I didn't really like, but
Okay.
Alexi Turna is still a really solid track.
That's
Yeah.
I you heard from the
Yeah.
lyric. Yeah, we really hope to hear this whole album. You know, what, in April we have to wait. Fine, it's close. But I get tired of bands releasing song trickling. I don't like the trickle. I want the album, okay? I honestly almost rather not even hear anything until the
I
album.
think it's coming out in April.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't like the prostate approach.
Okay, don't
to
say
the
that.
large prostate approach to metal. Please just put out the album. Stop doing this. Stop trickling. Okay, just put the album out. Anyway, sorry for that. Now, where are we? I'm always lost. Where are we? Number 2.
Number 2.
Is it me? It's you.
I think it's him.
It's me.
It's you.
Okay,
You got it,
alright.
Eric. Number 2.
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden, really?
Yes.
Just kidding. Of course.
No,
choice.
Definitely not.
Iron Maiden were actually my favorite band ever since I got into metal, but just
Yeah.
last week I changed it with Iron Maiden not being my favorite band.
You switched it.
I did. With
It's okay.
I still love Iron Maiden though.
Nice.
Just traditional metal I still love, but it's just traditional metal I don't like as much as like more like, let's say, progressive metal, I would say.
Sure, of
but
course.
I still love traditional metal. But with Senjutsu, honestly, I understand what you're saying.
You like Senjutsu?
Yes, I understand what you're saying, though, about
Very distraught.
It's
too
long.
too
It's like
Oh, I'm aware.
I mean,
it's like watching Gandhi or Gone with the Wind. You know, it's really worth
No,
it, but it's a long,
not
long.
that long.
I love it, but
Okay,
I love
but-
Senjutsu.
I like that analogy.
This
Yeah.
is basically, I love Writing on the Wall.
Oh, I
is
love that
amazing.
song. I love that song.
Stratego.
Look, you go through all the songs, and they're all well
Yes.
written, but
I mean, Hell on Earth. It's one of the longer songs, but I really, truly love
Yeah.
that song.
yeah. They want to
yeah.
put out epic albums. They're still doing it, and I think that probably Patrick, you would agree that would be great to hear if Iron Maiden are putting out any more new music. It would be nice to hear maybe like a Killer's version of this now, like 4-minute songs. Let's really just like go for the gusto, like shorter songs maybe would be
Yeah.
nice.
Well, I
just-
did hear Kevin Shirley talk about this because I think Eddie Trunk or somebody
Yeah,
asked him,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
said, "Listen, why won't it?"
Yeah.
He flat out asked him kind of what we're talking about here,
Yeah,
about can you go back to that? And Steve Harris says, "I can't do that
no,
anymore."
we can't do that.
He just can't. I don't think he's capable of
No,
it.
I think he needs that.
Yeah.
Look, if you think about it too, I mean, look at our idols. I mean, Iron
When
Maiden.
Martin Birch was producing.
No,
yeah.
I know we miss Martin. Nothing against Kevin Caveman. It's just it seems since
Oh, he's a good producer. I love Joe
Yeah.
Bonamassa, what he does with that.
yeah, oh yeah, and I don't know. I heard about that. Yeah, he
Yeah.
does well with that. And I guess I miss Martin, but again, I like Kevin Caveman. Sure, his
Okay.
personality. He's a cool
So,
dude. But I feel like I miss Martin's production. All right, so and my number 2 is the Japanese metal band Loudness.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you
Wow,
why.
Good for you, man.
This is the first band I ever saw live. And imagine a 12-year-old. Let me set this up. I was only 12. What was it? Okay, so it's 1985. Okay, so I was 14 years old. My friend's uncle worked at Lemoore East in Queens, New York. Loudness, I didn't know who Ron Keel was. I didn't know Loudness. And my friend said, look, let's go see these bands. My Uncle Rich works at this club. I had no clue about Lemoore in Brooklyn. I had no clue about Lemoore East. I had no clue about Lemoore Far East and wherever that was, Long Island or Staten Island. I don't know. So here I was, getting into this club. All these people turn around and look at my friend and I and just like, why are these kids in this club? This is like a 21 and older club. My dad gave permission for us to go. And I remember that we couldn't see. So we got whisked up on stage to the side. And I remember watching Akira Takasaki, Masayoshi Yamashita, Minoru Nihara, and Minetaka Higuchi. I couldn't believe my eyes that these guys blew me away. Now, the album was Thunder in the East. Okay, that was the album that broke them in America, along with Lightning Strikes and Hurricane Eyes and Jealousy. But when I realized, whoa, they had a whole Japanese past. I went all the way back to 1981, right? To their first album, and it's like the Birthday Eve.
Yes.
And I was like, what? The Devil Soldier, Law of the Devil's Line, what? Disillusion? They're singing it all in Japanese. Like,
It's
wait a minute, this
really
band has a
good stuff.
backstory. And so for me, this band is my first love. They're gonna be definitely they're number 2 for a very good reason. I love what they're doing now. Sunburst is a kick-ass album. It's so good, and we're gonna see them soon. It's a dream come true for me to see them again. I hope I meet them again. I'm gonna find them if I can, and we're gonna meet them and all that. And I just have to tell you, I only seen them 3 times. I first saw them with Ron Keel. They opened for Ron Keel, who was part of, I think, Steeler, and that's an Yngwie Malmsteen connection there, because Yngwie was in Steeler. Ron Keel, I didn't care much for Keel, but I did have the cassette. And then the second time was them opening up for Motley Crue at Madison Square Garden.
Okay.
They blew away Motley Crue. And this is on the Theater of Pain tour. Motley Crue was singing, you know, on my way home, sweet home. And then Loudness are like, the lines are down to the crazies. And then you got Akira Takasaki. He's like a Japanese anyway, but he's his own guy. His guitar sounds Japanese to me, just crazy. It just sounds amazing.
Great guitar player.
He's amazing. And then, of course, the third time was at the Starland Ballroom in New Jersey at Sayreville, seeing them on the, I think it was the Racing Tour or the Breaking the Taboo tour. I'm telling you, these guys, I just love them. And that's all I'm going to say about Loudness right now. And okay, so number 2, Patrick.
No, actually, it's number 1.
Okay, guys, I'm getting old.
Number 1.
Number 1.
Well, this is another, but I mean, my uncle got me into this band, and I mean, if it wasn't for his accident in a machinery factory taking off his fingertips, he changed the sound by having to drop the chords and because he lost his fingertips right here.
Oh my God! Yeah.
That's Black Sabbath. I mean, that's to me easy. I mean, my 2 favorite bands of all time are the Beatles and Black Sabbath, and easily Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
You know, even the Tony Martin era has grown on me some. I was not a huge fan of the Tony Martin era.
No, I didn't know
Tony
much of
Iommi's
that.
defense,
he
wanted that to be solo, but basically he was going to get thrown off his record label if he didn't agree to call it Black Sabbath. So, but I mean, from the first album, I was probably younger than you, about 7 or 8. Michael turned me on to Black Sabbath, the first album. Then I got Paranoid, so I was listening to that way before Metallica and anything. But still, I love Black Sabbath.
I'm glad you had that be your number 1.
Oh man,
somebody had to have that be their number 1.
Yeah.
But isn't that crazy though? He thought his life was over, and he, from an accident with his fingertips, he had to put plastic on his fingertips, and he changed music from an accident that happened. It's really is crazy.
And I love that. But the part of that story that you know is that obviously his friend bought him that record was a Django Reinhardt. Django Reinhardt was a Belgian guitar player with the same issue with his fingers.
He was in a fire or something.
Imagine just that friend. Thank you, whoever that was, by the way. The friend that brought Tony Iommi that Django Reinhardt album, because we wouldn't really have Sabbath now, would we?
We wouldn't have heavy metal. I think they started heavy metal.
Yeah.
It would totally be different.
Yeah, and Tony Iommi did a little cameo with Jethro Tull at the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus.
Yes, you're
which
right.
Which is so cool.
He was in the band for a week.
Had his head down. Didn't want to be associated. Ian Anderson was like, no, Tony did. Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull said, no, good for Tony. He created Black Sabbath, and he really wasn't right for Tull, and Tony knew it, and Ian knew it.
Yeah, and, you're right. He spent a week with Jethro Tull, and then came back, when they were... Yeah, they were Earth, and they turned in. They were kind of more of a blues rock band, and then they, after seeing the movie Black Sabbath with Boris Karloff, changed the name and got into a scary theme, and they changed music history, man.
I think when I hear Ozzy Osbourne's voice, God bless the man. Yeah. He, to me, when the day he's not around, it's going to be a tough day for us all. I feel. I mean, it sounds
and he's not doing well.
It sounds dramatic, but it's true.
Yeah, and. My favorite Sabbath album is definitely, though, I love the stuff with Ronnie James Dio, too, and I love the Ian Gillan album,
Born Again.
But my favorite album is Sabotage. Sabotage. And Megalomania, to me, is the best time. If you listen to that track, go and listen to that. That's the best Ozzy ever.
Do you like the riff? Do you like all the songs on there?
I love that. That's my favorite album. Easily.
Sabotage, they really blasted that cover. Who cares? It's a cool album cover. I like the fact that
Bill Ward's wearing his girlfriend's
that was cool.
spandex pants.
I liked it with the mirror. But as far as that Sabotage, I think... I feel like that again is an album that you either love or you hate, but Born Again too. I mean, I had to go back to the Ian Gillan one. That was
7-star with
You told me about that,
The News is a great album.
Your episode's making me want to really go back and listen to those again. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. But Black Sabbath, The Godfathers. Okay, there we have it. Now, number 1.
All right, my number 1. It was the band that we had in. Our episode that we were featured on, Mastodon.
Right.
The Georgia Boys.
I bet you are.
Even though there's a New Yorkers. 2 New Yorkers and an Alabama guy and a Georgia guy. But there are Georgia band, right? Go ahead.
Yes.
Why Mastodon? What do you love about them?
I said a lot about Mastodon in the episode, last episode with about Mastodon album rankings, but another very influential band for me, and I love their humor, as I said. I have a poster in my room of them where they're all in trucks, and it's super funny.
Yeah, well, you met them. It's nice that you met the guys. They like him.
They're all very nice people.
Very cool to meet them.
Yeah. And also we have one Mastodon CD and it's signed because we have all the vinyl of Mastodon.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
I mean, there every album we had our episode. If you haven't seen The World According to Patrick with us over there at his studio, you need to check that out. You're really just missing out because it's a cool episode because you got 3 really cool guys.
We ranked
talking.
albums of Mastodon.
We
It was
did.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, we have medium rares. We have that to show later for you later, but we didn't use that one. But we did kind of preface that with we weren't going to use medium rares. But Mastodon, you would say they're probably your, they give you everything you need. So it's a desert island band like that. If there's only one band you listen to for the rest of your life, it would be Mastodon. That's kind of how I'm looking at number ones. All right, mine is Bon Jovi. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, it's Cinderella. Just kidding.
I was scared. I was like,
it's not.
Did I hear that right?
It's Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
I mean, they're the band that 1983. I was 12 years old, and this guy Chris was a transfer student. He brought the metal to our school. I had the cassette in my hand on the lunch line. I probably told you this in that Iron Maiden episode. And I said, what is this? Who is this? Why? What? And how? And I put it on and said, this is my music. When I heard Where Eagles Dare, and so, and the fact, you know what's funny is Alaric's first VIP was with Iron Maiden, which is kind of an inadvertent one because he was so little, he was asleep half the time, but he met some of the guys in Maiden. It was amazing to meet my idols. I mean, Maiden are the band. They're the band that, if I had to listen to only one band for the rest of my life, I guess it would be Iron Maiden. So there we go. And we all have our number ones now?
Yes.
Yeah, and so we want to thank you guys for putting up with us and our gibberish, but we were excited to share our top 10 metal bands. Before we go, though, let's some honorable mentions. Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, we'll make it quick. Yeah, it was very hard to do.
Motorhead, Lemmy
is you know, a band that oh my gosh, they have 22 albums I think before he passed.
Do they really?
Yeah,
I never knew that.
It's a lot. I like the original incarnation. Well, the most famous with Fast Eddie and Filthy Animal Taylor, but Meshuggah, Merciful Fate. I didn't have in my top 10, but you guys have brought up. And Mastodon. There's so many other bands I could have missed. Mastodon's an amazing band as well too.
I had No Remorse, the Double Gatefold No Remorse. I played that over and over again. I like Louie Louie. I like Lemmy singing Louie Louie. That was fun for me.
Oh,
but Stay Clean, Stay Clean. I dug some of that. I didn't love Motorhead, but I'm glad you said
the
Motorhead.
more I've gotten, the more I appreciate it. Because his voice is very quiet.
Yeah. So you got any other honorable mentions, Patrick? Anything else?
I think that's, let's see. Real quick, the band that I don't really consider, I know they're your favorite band of all time.
Yeah.
That I consider more hard rock, and that's Kiss. You're a big Kiss. I'm kidding.
No, it's
Kiss would be in my top 10.
That's cool.
I love Kiss, but I don't consider them a metal band.
Do you know what Kiss did though for me and for all of us metalheads out there? What they did, they gave Iron Maiden, and Rush, their first big tours. How could you not?
I love Kiss.
How could you not love Kiss? For
early Kiss.
Yeah.
And they took the makeup off and it got silly.
Yeah.
But
I was an elevator.
When I was a kid, I didn't think they were human. Because this is before internet, and I thought, oh my gosh, what are these guys? You never saw them without the makeup on. I was obsessed with them when I was a kid. When I was your age, they were by far my favorite band.
I think for me, the embarrassing moment one of the most embarrassing moments was being in an elevator with Paul Stanley. And he looked at me, I looked at him, he looked at me, I looked at him, didn't say a word. And I felt like, I didn't have tickets to the show. I couldn't talk much about Kiss. I just felt it wasn't right. And so I left him alone. He kind of looked at me like, what are you, crazy? I'm Paul Stanley. I really should have just said, thanks for giving Rush and Iron Maiden their shots. Anyway, that might have been interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Any honorable mentions? Lyric.
Honorable mentions. Well, all I have to say is, also thank you, Boris, for the amazing music.
Boris, awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. You're the best.
Yes.
We love you. We're excited. The album's coming. When is this album, The Ritual, going to come to our house? Yeah, but when's it getting to our doorstep? We ordered this thing.
I know. But
it's not out yet.
Also, speaking about one-man black metal projects, Jerbatsu Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know them enough to put them on my top 10, but they're still really good.
Sounds like a Pokemon, doesn't it?
Jerbatsu Luke is no, but Urzal Baba Yaga, really good, pretty good. Solid,
now Alaric's speaking different language.
Pretty good solid album, and then I love the Oscarayas black metal scream. Pretty good. You don't hear that much in bands now. It's just like the straightforward cult scream, but I like the Oscaraya scream a lot.
Now my honorable mentions: Dark Throne. I love these guys. I mean, I'm new to these guys, and I love it. Alaric's teaching me all about some of these black metal bands I really like. Mayhem. I love Mayhem. I really embrace Mayhem. Fate's Warning. Okay, guys. And the No Exit album for me, I blew that up. I probably ruined 3 cassettes of that, and I have the CDs of it. Fates Warning, and I think probably the final kind of band that I would like to mention would probably be Exodus for me, because Bonded by Blood was the album for me. That album, I went through a lot of things in that album, emotionally and just, mentally. And for me, that album took me through some things that were dark, kind of through the dark times. So Bonded by Blood, Exodus. All right. So there we have it. Heavy Metal Music Manor. The World According to Patrick at the Manor as we speak. He flew in all the way from Buenos Aires. Just
No,
kidding.
he did not.
It was rough too.
It was
man.
tough. Lots of turbulence.
Yeah.
We want you guys to click
A little
on.
pink.
Yeah, we want you guys to like our channel. It won't hurt you to like it. We're not going to come to your doorstep and start talking about metal. But just like our channel, like World According to Patrick's channel, and anything,
And
guys. We
also,
want to thank you.
it's
Anything
like,
else?
we're not. You said we're not gonna come to your doorstep. It's like, oh, I will. It's like you listen to a bunch of pop crap. I'm gonna come and preach you the religion
All right.
of metal.
There we go. Well, that's Iron Maiden. They're going to get you no matter wherever you are. All right, thank you. Episode 21. See you next time. Heavy Metal Music Manor.